Welcome. Starting with the top story that we are tracking for you. India and China are holding the 10th round of Corps Commander level talks today. The talks are being held on the Chinese side of the Chushul-Moldor border. Yesterday, the Indian and Chinese troops completed their disengagement from the banks of the Pangong Lake in a significant breakthrough in the 9-month-long standoff in eastern Ladakh. After disengagement from both the northern and southern banks of Pangong Lake, the two sides are expected to discuss disengagement from other friction points. The two countries have had a standoff along the LAC since April-May of last year. Now, several rounds of military and diplomatic level talks have been held since then. Now, the four-step disengagement process included pulling back armor, artillery and other heavy equipment, followed by infantry. Around 150 Chinese tanks and nearly 5,000 Chinese People's Liberation Army soldiers have gone back. Now, for more on this, we are being joined by our principal diplomatic correspondent, Siddhant Sybil. Good evening to you, Siddhant. Now, India and China are holding the 10th round of Corps Commander level talks. This, of course, following the disengagement from the banks of the Pangong Lake. And disengagement along other friction points is expected to be a part of the core agenda of this meeting. What else are we expecting from these talks?
Well, yes, Alison, we are now waiting for any kind of release, perhaps after the talks. Usually these kind of talks, after these talks, there is a joint statement, and we do expect a joint statement. But these kind of talks also go for a pretty long time, sometimes as long as 15 to 16 hours. We know that previous meetings have been 15 to 16 hours of talks, but largely we know that this time, of course, focus is on disengagement on areas, remaining areas where there are still a few Chinese present. We know that the biggest issue was the disengagement at the Pangong Lake. That, of course, is over. There is complete disengagement. Approximately 5,000 to 10,000 Chinese PLA soldiers have left the area. The disengagement got over last week, and it was agreed that within 48 hours there will be the next round of conversation, and that conversation is taking place at Moldo. We know that there is also a buzz of NSA, the Indian NSA, Ajit Doval, having conversation with with the foreign minister of China, Wang Yi, and this, of course, is something that will be important given the fact that last year also, amidst the border standoff, there was a conversation between both of them. So largely it is a positive development, but lot of things hinges on China, given the fact that it is up to China to make sure that there are confidence-building measures, because it was China that was the aggressor at the line of actual control in eastern Ladakh. In fact, it has been the aggressor in many parts of the world, whether it's South China Sea, whether it's Senkaku Islands in Japan, or whether it is with other countries like Australia, Canada, in fact with the US as well. So largely, China has to do all the things, and this year, of course, India is the chair of the BRICS. So as the chair of the BRICS, India will be inviting China for the BRICS summit, and if it happens physically, we can expect the Chinese President Xi Jinping to visit India. That, of course, will be a major breakthrough event.
Absolutely, Siddhant. So now this disengagement has successfully completed at Pangong, so there are other friction points. This disengagement just before the Corps Commander level meet on the Chinese side of the LAC, as you've mentioned. But this after China only yesterday admitted to the losses on their sides in the original conflict.
Well, yes, of course, it is a significant development, because we never expected China to come out and accept that it suffered casualty. Given the fact that China believes that its time has arrived, it is a superpower. We know that last year was particularly troublesome when it comes to dealing with Beijing for many countries in the region, as I have listed out. So largely, we know that China has accepted it suffered casualty, even though there are doubts about China's figure. China says it has lost 4 of its soldiers in the combat, 1 while crossing the river at Galwan. So these are figures which are doubtful, in a sense that we know that Russian news agency TASS came out with a figure which said that China lost 45 of its soldiers with dateline from Beijing. Of course, it is now being reported that the Russians quoted the Indian government sources when it comes to the Indian media reporting that. But there is, of course, a question being raised that exactly how many soldiers that China lost. But ultimately, it is something of a negative news for a country that believed that its time has come. It is the next superpower, and it will define the world, and it will come up with a Sinocentric rules for the world. So largely, it is a major stumbling block for China trying to become the ruler here in Asia, because we know that when it comes to the struggle for Asia or supremacy of Asia, it is now between India and China. India and China being very large, geographically large countries, and of course population-wise as well. But also when it comes to how the global geopolitics is changing, it looks like China clearly has to cooperate with India when it comes to regional prosperity and, of course, global prosperity.
Absolutely. Sudan, thanks very much for bringing us that report. And of course, he'll be keeping us up to date with all the latest coming out of those talks. WION, now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.